Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm VelvettB, and thanks for joining me today for this cute country kitchen build. So I'm just going to be hanging out with you guys today while we build this cute little kitchen, and it is a limited pack kitchen, and it was built for the Click Together challenge that is being hosted by Pigletish. So thank you for the wonderful challenge, where there is going to be a room for a house released each month of the year, and eventually it will turn into a whole house, which I think is a neat little challenge. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Puzzle Together house that I did, where I had to build all the rooms of the house first and then put it together and try and make a actual house out of all these rooms in random shapes and sizes that I made. Mine was a little bit more chaotic, but this challenge was absolutely lovely, and I thought, you know what, let's do it. And it's been a while since I've hung out with you guys and just built a cute little room, so I thought that would be fun. It's just going to be a live build rather than a speed build, and yeah, here we go. So if you guys aren't familiar with me, I am a Velvet, and I love The Sims. I love building in The Sims. It is my very, very favorite thing to do in The Sims, and I adore it. It's just one of those, mental health, really good chill out things that just keeps me grounded and centered and happy. And so, The Sims is a happy place for me. I adore gameplay as well. I have a lot of fun. It's just always a bit of chaos. And if you guys continue to the end of the video, you will get to see what I mean about the chaos. So there's a little blooper at the end of the video for you guys to enjoy. So make sure you watch all the way through and see what happens when I playtested this build. Always a delight with me. And yeah, I love The Sims, I love building, I love gameplay, and I even enjoy CAS as well. I just don't know how good I am at any of it, but I try my little velvety best. And I love hanging out with you guys when I create these things or do these things. So, thank you for being here and spending your time with me today. And I hope you're all well, I'm having a good day. So, what are we building? Great question. I mean, aside from a cute country kitchen, because that's what I said right at the start, right? This is a limited pack build, so it did show the packs at the start of the video, very briefly. But the main pack that I'm centering this build around is the country kitchen kit, which is a kit that I absolutely adore. Now, I was very, very tempted to go super modern with this kitchen because I adore a modern kitchen, and that really was my very first instinct to go super modern because that's just me. But I thought, the house, I have actually seen the exterior of the house, and it is a little bit more of a traditional style house, and I thought, well, you know what, it does make more sense for this to be a little bit more traditional style. And I thought, I kind of picture this house as being somewhere in the country, somewhere beautiful like Henford on Bagley, and it's just like this beautiful, beautiful house. It's kind of down this lovely alleyway, and you can picture all the greenery around, like the beautiful fields and the trees, and there's like this gravel maybe driveway down to this beautiful country house. And I feel like that house would suit that kind of story really well, with these really cozy Sims living there, this cute little family, and it's really cozy and lovely. And this is kind of the vibe I wanted to go for with this kitchen. It's just a super cozy, lovely vibe that would be really good for a family to cook in, and make their lovely meals and their celebration meals. Like your Harvest Fest kind of meals and that sort of thing. So this is the vibe I am trying to capture with this one. So yeah, not my usual in terms of going modern. I decided to go traditional and cozy, which I think is cute. So the country kitchen kit was really a no-brainer, I think, for me as far as this kitchen goes, because that is an amazing kit. If you're ever going to do like a country or a traditional style kitchen, then that kit is just amazing for that. It's got like these cute little containers, which you can see I put up on that cute shelf, which comes with that kit as well. And it's great to sort of have all these little containers and mix and match kind of colors and just sitting on the shelf. And yeah, I thought that would be ideal. So the wallpaper I went with is the cottage living because I feel like the kitchen kit and the cottage living kit pack really work nicely together. They're the same sort of vibe and work a treat together. Now I'm just moving the counters out of the way because I was having a bit of a problem with the containers going down and slotting onto the counters. You know how they do that. You're trying to push something into place, and they're like, "Nope, I want to snap over here." And you're like, "Ah." And you have to move the counters out of the way because these containers were busy snapping. So I was like, "Ah." And then I was trying to, get turn them in the right way so they weren't overlapping. So it was like a little bit of a fussy thing to do. But I think, it looks kind of crowded and cute. And like, you're just trying to jam as much as you possibly can onto your shelf because, this is a family home and they're going to need like lots of ingredients and bits and pieces on the shelf. So, yeah. I know what my pantry's like. And, I have a couple of boys as well as my husband and the cats. And, you do end up with a few things in the pantry, just your staples and your bits and pieces that you just kind of have all the time. And, by the end of the week, obviously it's all empty because everybody's raided the pantry. And, boys are hungry boys. So everything gets eaten by the end of the weekend. You're like, you got no fruit, you got no milk, you got no bread, and the pantry's looking pretty bare. So yeah, you got to have those little staples in hand so that you can make things on the fly if you need to, if things get a little bit desperate in the old pantry before you go shopping again. So yeah, so this is me just getting all of the items into place on the shelf, and you'll notice I shrunk down a few of the items as well, and that's like a really neat way just to create like a different look for it's the same item, but we've created like a different size of it and, chosen a different swatch too. So it just creates like a little bit of a different look, just changing the size of it. It's like a simple little trick, but a good way just to repeat clutter without looking like you're repeating clutter too much, if that makes sense. I was playing around a little bit with the top cabinets, and I was going to do a few more top cabinets, but it just felt like quite claustrophobic having a whole lot of cabinets going around the front there, or around the top. So I decided to just kind of stick with a couple of different cabinets. So I've chosen one from the Country Kitchen and I think one from Cottage Living. I think that's what I did. Just the end cabinets, and that gave me a couple of different cabinets with different clutter in it. I was just playing with the wallpaper, seeing if it needed to be a different color, but I was quite happy with that color in the blue. So it is like sort of shades of blue, sort of blue, and it's not really teal, but it's kind of like a greenish kind of blue to it. It's got like a little bit of an undertone of green to it. So it's not all blue all the way through. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually using a cube. This is a cube that you get with Dream Home Decorator. But you can do this if you don't have Dream Home Decorator and you just maybe have Base Game or maybe just a couple of packs. There's this white towel rack that you get with Base Game. And you can actually do this, do the click and drag thing with that towel rack as well, where you basically line up the shelf where it will slot to the top of the item that you want to put the items on, and you just kind of slide them across and onto the item. You're holding down Alt. Obviously, you need the BB .move objects on cheat on to do that, and I always have that on when I'm building. I struggle to build without it because I like a little bit of freedom of movement and placing. But you can see how I'm kind of dragging that across there. So what I'm kind of doing is I'm using the cube to get the right height, because a lot of the times if you have items like fridges which don't have slots on top, or you have a shelf that might only have slot spaces for small items rather than medium items as well, this is a way to get around that and actually give yourself a lot more items to choose from to slot onto shelves. So the cubes that you get with High School Years and Dream Home Decorator, and the Base Game towel rack, the white towel rack, they have small and medium slots on them. So that means small and medium items will click or slot to those shelves, and you can use them to slide across. So it's just a little way around very easily getting things at the right height onto shelves just by holding down Alt and sliding them across, rather than using 9 or Control 9 to lift items up from the ground and then they don't sit quite right on the shelves. You know, sometimes you can look at them and you'll like lift them up and you think they're okay, and then you sort of duck down, and then when you look at it, you can just like this little gap between the items and the shelf. I don't like that in terms of for myself. It's just something that I'm just like, oh, it has to be sitting on the shelf because, you know, you're not going to have floating items in real life. So it kind of makes sense to not have floating items in The Sims. My personal thing that I don't like. But I do find that being able to align that shelf or the cube or the towel rack up with the shelf or the item that I want to put it on and sliding them across using Alt, that does mean that those items are lined up correctly on the shelf or the item, and you know there's no gap between them. So I like to I prefer to use that technique rather than using the Control 9 or the 9 technique to lift up. It's a lot more accurate. And you use this exactly the same technique when you're placing clutter items, as I'm doing right now on counters. So again, you place it on the counter, move the counter out of the way so it doesn't have the shelf snapping issue, and then slide the items across holding down Alt. And that's just how I like to place items. It does get a little bit fiddly sometimes because obviously you've got to try and line things up. And when you have something like the tea brewer that I have here, I kind of need to line up the clutter so it goes around the tea brewer, and I'm not like halfway through the tea brewer with these little clutter items that I want to have like surrounding it. So it does take a little bit of fiddling around to try and get that sort of all lined up in the way that I want. So at the moment, I have found these cute little items from Cottage Living, like a little jug and a little teapot. And I thought, you know what, those are going to be absolutely perfect to sit around the tea brewer. Because I'm thinking, you know, maybe you use a jug for like iced tea, or the little teapot, obviously, to maybe take the hot tea from the brewer over to the table or out to the deck or whatever. And it's just super cute, you know. So that's kind of what I was thinking for that. And I just moved like some of the clutter onto the sink so I can drag it across a little bit later into another section of the kitchen. Obviously, another thing to keep in mind when you're building something like this in the kitchen, which is a functional area that the Sims will need to use if you want them to live, because they need to eat. And generally they like to cook. So you need to leave these like a few counters empty so that it is functional, because the clutter will interrupt them using the counters. So I am very aware that I can't clutter the whole kitchen and just make it, you know, cover it in things. There's got to be enough of the kitchen clear so that, you know, the Sims can actually get in there and use it. So that's why I always make sure that I play test my builds as well, because I know that I've left the counters clear, but it's also just making sure that you've got the room so that the Sims can actually route around the room as well, because I will add some kitchen islands in there. So it's just like make sure that there is actually enough room for them to get in the fridge and to cook at the oven and to cook off the counters as well. So yeah. Now I did think about doing like maybe a little bit more of a traditional rubbish bin, but there was really limited options, and I was just kind of like, well, what really is a traditional rubbish bin, really? So I went with our lovely free rubbish bin that we got from something. I want to say it was some sort of an event, and it's like the nano rubbish bin. It's the slightly cheaper nano rubbish bin that is a lot prettier than the original nano rubbish bin, and you can make money from it, so that's rather handy. It's a good bin. It depends whether or not you want to be able to rummage in the rubbish bin or not, though, because it depends what you're doing. You know, sometimes it's actually quite good to be able to rummage in rubbish bins for bits and pieces if you want to do the whole eco lifestyle thing. And look at me putting in some light switches. I'm going to have to remember light switches for the rest of the rooms as I do this challenge, because the amount of times I start to put light switches in houses and then I just forget. Like, so I'll have maybe like some light switches in the hallway and then I'll forget to do them throughout the rest of the build, because light switches they're just one of those things that I do regularly forget. Light switches and stairs and rubbish bins inside and outside. Just shocking for it. And ceilings. I often only remember ceilings when I go to take pictures of my builds and stuff, and then I'm like, I'll take a picture and I can see the ceiling and it's just like this plain white. I'm just like, oh, I forgot the ceiling again. So it's like back into build mode, add a ceiling, back out, blah, 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 resave it all. As you do. So I'm just adding a little bit of clutter on the wall. Now, I did make this a limited pack build, so I think I mentioned that earlier. So just bear with me. I think it's Love Struck. Hang on, I can pull it up. I've got a list here. So it's Love Struck for Rent, Horse Ranch, Cottage Living, Discover University, and Get Together. So those are the EPs, and there are 2 kits. Cozy Bistro, which is the bar back that you can see off to the side by the fridge. So if you're wondering what that shelving unit is, that is from the Cozy Bistro pack. And the Country Kitchen kit, obviously, because that's all the counters and bits and pieces there. The reason that I'm just adding like a little shelf here, and I did shrink it down, so this is the immaculate shelving that comes with base game. And I just wanted to add like some little plants there, because normally there's this little plant that you get with the Blooming Rooms kit, and it's just like little herbs, and they're super cute, and I quite often put those in the kitchens because, I'm just thinking fresh herbs in the kitchen that you can sort of pick and sprinkle in your meals and, do your things with. Because I was doing this limited pack and I didn't have that particular little planter in this one, I thought, you know what, let's just put a couple of cute little plants on a shelf just to, add a little bit of life to that corner of the room. So I just used these cute little cactuses, little succulents from, what pack is that? That's a good question. Maybe Discover University? Or Get Together? I don't know. It's a pretty old pack, I think, those ones. And they're super cute, and they're quite small, but I did shrink them down by one just to fit them on the shelving, and they look cute, just like a little bit of life in that corner, And where are we at with this? So I think we're just about finished. Oh, yes, that's right. We are just about finished with the cluttering and stuff. So I'm just adding a few more items to the shelving above. There was like a couple of spaces on that shelf, and I was like, right, you know what? I can add some clutter to that as well. I went with the pink swatch on this because there was like a couple of pink bits and pieces on the cupboards, on the ends of the cupboards. So I thought, you know what, that's going to work in really nicely with that. And then I just added like a little tiny stack of books there in the corner, like their recipe books. So that's what basically most of the clutter. And then I think I'm just going to add in some kitchen islands into the middle. Oh, that's the little plant from Love Struck. Again, just adding a little touch of greenery and life in there. I mean, I'm only building a little kitchen, but I want to bring it to life and, make it look really cute. And I feel like when you're just doing a room alone, you can kind of just really concentrate on making it the best it can possibly be without getting, worried about the time that it takes or that, basically for me when I'm building a home, I do have to be conscious of the time that it does take because I'm recording it and I'm going to be turning it into a build content for YouTube. So, I've got to be conscious of the time that it does take and how I'm going to actually utilize that. But with a room, I feel like, you do have it's a little bit more relaxed because you're going to get it done in time. It doesn't take that long to do a cute little room. But yeah, and you can really focus on all the little features, little pieces of clutter, things that you can do in this that might be a little bit more creative than sometimes you can do in a quicker build in a whole house. So what I really liked about these little island counters is that you can sort of see the drawers and they've got that little section of wood running across them as well. So I thought that was really cute. I'm just going to add a few pieces of clutter to the center of that. So again, I'm just moving that counter out of the way so that I can click and drag from that counter and add my little bits and pieces. So I'm just using, again, Love Struck for the plants. Love Struck has got some really lovely little plants in it. Super cute. And I thought that bouquet worked really nicely with the room. So I was like, cool. So just got a little stack of plates, some of that lovely bread that we get with base game, and these little Love Struck birds. I thought they were adorable and could be cute in the kitchen, so I'm just adding those. I did fluff around with getting those in the right place for a little minute. I did skip over I think me poking around with that for a while and just getting those in the right place so that they sit in the center of the counters. The aim was that those counters would still be usable And when I play tested it, the counter was still usable, so I was like, yay! So the Sims can actually still cook on those, which is neat. And then I just, changed the swatch so that it has like that teal kind of coloring to it, so it matches the rest of the room. And I think that's just about our cute little build there. So I want to say a big thank you for hanging out with me today and building this cute country kitchen. I'm going to leave you guys with the screenshots. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. I have plenty of builds and I'm fun and it's free. So go ahead. Why not? Why not hit subscribe? Give me a like, a comment, and all of those great things. Thanks for watching. And you know what? I'm hoping that I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.